I want to argue my case on why I think that Matiangi should not be president. He should not be a replacement of Kasongo. Yes, Kasongo must go. One term is real. But Matiangi is not good enough to be president. I'll explain. Because the reason I'm doing this video is because if Matiangi ends up becoming president of Kenya, I want to have spoken before he becomes president of Kenya. And we have seen it with Ruto. We knew that this guy might be a killer. This guy might have done very bad things. And when he got there, he actually did them. Matiang'i, what did he do? Well, when Jomo Kenyatta took power, he vowed to build a nation that was to fight three major things: poverty, ignorance, and disease. We are all trying to work. Poverty is the enemy. Ignorance is also a big enemy. Ignorance, in this context, is not to mean that it's the noun form of ignore, because most of us Kenyans think that ignorance is to mean it's in the noun form of ignore, where ignore means maybe to fail to acknowledge or recognize something. Kulenga. Atuongelio kulenga, alilenga story zangu. No. It's not that noun form of that action of kulenga. We are talking about not knowing, lacking knowledge. Sikujua. Guy, inakuanga hivyo, sikuwa najua. Aki pole, sikuwa najua. Makosa imefanyika, aki sikuwa najua. It is wrong not to know. And actually God warns us in Hosea chapter 4 verse 6. He says that my people perish for the lack of knowledge, because they have decided to ignore knowledge, and you will not become priests. Something like that. Go read Hosea chapter 4 verse 6. And right now, we have the knowledge. We have to look and scrutinize. We have the information to check on the background of our politicians. In banking and in the financial industry, there's something called KYC, know your client. While you are serving someone, are you sure that this person, you know them by character? Are you sure, you are definite that huyu mtu ambaye anatoa hii pesa ni mwenye hiyo pesa? Because if something is to go wrong, you'll be accountable for it. You have to do your due diligence, so that should something go wrong, you can always say that I had done my part. I verified, I did everything that I could to prevent this thing from happening. Right now, Kenyans are doing what you call KYP, know your politicians. We want to know huyu mwanasiasa ambaye tuna elect, what is their software? What are the values inside them? What vices do they have? Are they killers? Is it someone mwenye anaweza tusaliti? And that is why it has been so difficult for Samuel Kasaliti to come back to this other side after betraying people and saying that, oh, you had never elected us. Kenyans are at a point where we are looking at the value of our leaders. Value. What is it? What values do you hold? Tukikutoa minus pesa, minus magari, what kind of a human are you? When you don't have those suits, when you don't have all that attention, what kind of a person are you? Or are you using your popularity as leverage to save yourself? So, as we do that KYP that Kasmuel failed in advance in the eyes of the Gen Z, another man comes here, Matiangi. No matter how much you people hype him, I don't think Matiangi is an option. We've previously had talked about how he was ignoring court orders and also not following the law. If he was doing that as a cabinet secretary, what about when he is president? Have you tried to dread that thought? Have you tried to think of that? What would happen when he is president and he has to bulldoze his way? In 2022, there was a lot of chaos in Nakuru, especially due to a gang called Confirm. So there's this NTV series called Murder Tips. One of the episodes there by Brian Obuya, titled Butchers of Nakuru. Yeah. explains how Peter Mwanzo stood before cameras, lied about the death of 4 young men aged between 16 to 21, of how they had tried to kuvamia polisi with machetes and pangas. Walikuwa wanajaribu kuvamia polisi wenye walikuwa plain clothes, they didn't have uniform. But the police were able to act very effectively and neutralize them. Each of them akalishwa dengu ya kichwa na ingine ya kifua. But then there's one of them, Collins Korir, alikuwa na tudredi. He received more. They had been suspected to be part of the gang that had killed a number of women in Nakuru. And the question that we ask is, kama walikuwa wamefanya kitu mbaya hivyo, I mean 16 year olds, 21 year olds, young and stupid, they're in their stupid days, why would they go around killing? What was the motive behind their killing? If you kill them, will we get to know whether they were killers? And why actually would you want them dead? Had these people been announced for all police stations that they were in the first place wanted? Had it been announced that they are wanted, dead or alive, or they were wanted dead? And who wanted them dead and why? Because sometimes police can use murders to cover up for other people. Wanajua people are bailing for blood, they want someone arrested, so they give an action. And there are usually people who are ready to be sacrificed for such an issue. Why was it so hard in arresting and prosecuting boys between 16 and 21? 4 young boys who had a lot of life ahead of them. What are prisons for? Kurekebisha na haki. Hao ni watu ambao maybe they would have been rehabilitated back in society if at all they were bad people. I'm not definite whether they are bad people or not because they were not brought to a court of law. So tumefuta majaji kazi because what is the work of magistrates? What's the work of lawyers? What's the work of the whole judicial system? Why do we build prisons if we can't put bad people there and hope that by the time they come out, they are better people in our society? Maybe they have learned a skill. They have learned that they do not have to kill to make a living, literally. If Matiangi could not follow the law when he was interior minister, and he would provide warnings, he was actually heard saying that do not, before it happened, before the killing of the 4 boys happened, Matiangi warned that we should not come lecturing him about human rights. Where were human rights before people were getting killed? He even said that he talked to the mothers of the victims, he talked to the pastors, and he could feel their pain. Matiangi said that he listened to the mothers of the victims, he listened to the pastors, the priests, and he could feel their pain. Were you sympathetic or empathetic? And at what point did you decide that it's time to change, that there'll be a new sheriff in town? And Mwanzo was brought to Nakuru. Yes, he brought calmness, but at what cost? It cost the lives of people who should have been maybe answerable. What if it was a case of mistaken identity? We don't know that. As a leader, you are not supposed to be sympathetic. You're supposed to be empathetic. Because what happened to the presumption of innocence? Guilt, you are innocent till you are proven guilty, and that's the whole essence of the judicial system. What if there could have been something that you've missed out? Why can't an investigation get carried out? And if someone is indeed guilty, anawekwa in prison. There was also this other issue of the bodies of River Yala. I remember watching a documentary, and it was being said that wale watu walikuwa River Yala, they were people who were involved in the business of wash, criminals, and all such kind of stuff. Well, pro Matiangi people are saying that the people that were killed under Matiangi's era they were not politically motivated. Sio kama za Kasongo where people were being abducted, getting lost here and there. It was all about getting rid of thieves and criminals. Don't criminals deserve justice too? Don't criminals deserve a second chance? Imagine living in a world where we are just ruthless, merciless. An eye for an eye will get all of us blind. And Matiangi's total disregard for court orders and total disregard of the Constitution, using it as mere suggestions, is the reason as to why I believe Matiang'i should not be president, and he is no better replacement to Kasongo as the president of Kenya.